Welcome to every one of you out there. We're back in the ancient history book of Jasher. If there's any discrepancy between the King James and Jasher here, they have a note in parentheses on the numbers. A lot of it has harmonization notes sending you right to the King James where the same subject is talked about. So this is a pretty good book here. It's the Bible Facts Anointed Edition. It's a new anointed edition, also called Sefer HaHasher. All right, and it's got pretty good size print, pretty easy to read. Okay, and with that in mind, notice how the flood was put into chapter 6 here, just like it is in the book of Genesis. So they always do that on purpose, and that helps us stay in line time-wise, etc. Now here we're going to get in chapter 7 the generations of Noah. And I'm not going to give you any of the notes that they've added here. If there's something that really sticks out, I'll give it to you. And then we get right into Nimrod. And that's where, it gets interesting, folks. It really does. Because once again, we're taught to look at the flood. And we're taught to look at Sodom and Gomorrah. This is what the Lord told us to do about His second coming. And then to look at Babylon. Okay, and the flood and all this. Because Mystery Babylon, the fourth of the great kingdoms, it entails all four of the great kingdoms. You got the original Babylon. You have the Medo-Persia split empire, the Greco-Roman, Rome coming out on top. The Maccabees is really good to see all that. And then you got Mystery Babylon that entails all those kingdoms. King of the north, south, east, and west, and that has never went away. It is the old poison ivy plant that just will not quit popping up and growing. The whore of Babylon. So here we are. We are looking at the roots of Babylon. So here we are in the history book of Jasher, and we're in chapter 7. It says here, the generations of Noah. And you can look in your Genesis here and harmonize much of this. Same way. It says in verse 1, it says, and these are the names of the sons of Noah, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, and children were born to them after the flood, for they had taken wives before the flood. We all remember that. And first we got Japheth's descendants here. It says, these are the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Maddah, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus, 7 sons. Now you'll notice those names come back in the latter days. You see, because the old roots of this empire never go away. It's like there's an old poison ivy plant. I thought I killed it, but it's back. So the mythology, the bloodlines, the mythology, all of that comes back with Mystery Babylon. So we see these names pop up again and again. In 3, and the sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Rephanath, and Tegarmah. And the sons of Magog were Elkanah and Lubal. And the children of Madah were Achon, Zelo, Chazoni, and Lot. And the sons of Javan in 6 were Elisha, Tarshish, Chittim, Dudonium. 7. And the sons of Tubal were Aripha, Kesed, and Ta'arai. And the sons of Meshach in 8 were Dedon, Zeron, and Shebashni. 9. And the sons of Tyrus were Beneb, Gera, Luphirion, and Gilak. These are the sons of Japheth according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 460 men. All right, and then we got in 10 here, it's Ham's descendants. It says, and these are the sons of Ham: Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan, 4 sons. And the sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Raamah, and Satika. And the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. 11. And the sons of Mizraim were Lud, Anam, and Panthros, Cashloth, and Chaphator. 12. And the sons of Put were Gebal, Hadan, Birna, and Aden. 13. And the sons of Canaan were Zidon, Heth, Amori, Girgashi, Eva, Arki, Sini, Oda, Zim, Odi, and Chamothi. These are the sons of Ham according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 730 men. Shem's descendants start here in 15, and these are the sons of Shem: Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, Aram, 5 sons. And the sons of Elam were Shushan, Makhul, and Harmon. And the sons of Ashar were Myris and Mokil. And the sons of Arpachshad were Shelach, Anar, and Ashiel, okay. 17. And the sons of Lud were Pethar and Bizayon. And the sons of Aram were Uz, Chul, Gaither, and Mash. These are the sons of Shem according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 300 men. Okay, and as we go, I'm telling you, these names come right back in the last days. And in order to understand that, we got to look at the mythologies that these people absorbed. We also look at their bloodlines and where they went, where they traveled to. We have that in the other doctrine, in the real doctrine of the King James. So we can look at their geographical location, and we can look at their mythology and why they are drummed up in the mystery Babylon Empire. Okay, so all that takes some elbow grease to study. 19. These are the generations of Shem. Shem begot Arpachshad, and Arpachshad begot Shelach, and Shelach begot Eber, and to Eber were born two children. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the sons of men were divided, and in the latter days the earth was divided. Okay, now what we're talking about there is the spreading around. The people, the Lord picked them up from Babylon, moved them around the world there, and changed and confounded language, etc. So there's a great clue as to where that happened in these bloodlines. Okay? And the name of the second was Yoktan, meaning that in his days the lives of the sons of men were diminished and lessened. Okay, because you see how long people lived, and the Bible documents that, especially there in the book of 2nd Esdras, where they talk about flesh, along with the earth wavering and getting weaker as it goes. Okay, flesh, it does the same thing. And it's explained very clearly to Esdras, or it's Ezra or Esdras, same gentleman, the great scribe, and he asks the questions about it, and it's in plain English, how flesh starts to get weaker as it moves along, and we're not going to worry about this flesh because it's going to be gone, it's going to be dust, and we're getting the new Christ-like flesh. 21. These are the sons of Yoktan, Almodad, Sheleph, Kezar, Movith, Yirak, Haduram, Oziel, Dikla, Obal, Abi, Mael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these are the sons of Yoktan. All right. Now this gets very interesting here as we move along. We have notes here from these people that put this book together, and they are harmonizing it with our Bible here. But here we have the birth of Terah, and that's Abraham's dad, and that is very fascinating. So here we go in 22. And Peleg, his brother, begot Yen, and Yen begot Serug, and Serug begot Nahor, and Nahor begot Terah, and Terah was 38 years old, and he begat Haran and Nahor. Okay, and here we go. In 23, Nimrod's born, and this is one character here who, his son is pictured as a giant in archaeology, and that does not surprise us, since they were building the great phallic symbol, the great monolith to heaven, so they could travel up there in a clockwise manner and go up there and contact the fallen angels, maybe mate, sacrifice, whatever, up there where the foreskin goes in the old Tower of Babel. So here we are in 23. And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, at that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against God. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. All right? So, this ends up in a lot of evil here. And this is even after the Lord blesses him. According to this history, God gave him a lot of blessing. And what does he do but turn his back on God? See, this is the same battle that's been going on since the world began. Okay, in 24. And the garments of skin which God made for Adam and his wife, when they went out of the garden, were given to Cush. Okay, so we don't have that here, but we have it in the Old Testament. Okay, about this, he made them garments, aprons. In 25, for after the death of Adam and his wife, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared, and when Enoch was taken up to God, he gave them to Methuselah his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark, and they were with him until he went out of the ark. 27. And in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. Period. Okay, old Ham was a bad dude, wasn't he? Caught up in the evil, and we all know what he did there. Just while his father was laying there in his bed. Okay, and it was very sinful, and it has to do with this Ham, and Ham has to do with what? Does it not have to do with Egypt? Okay, so there you go. The evil came out of old Ham here. And now you realize he's a thief on top of all that, and he's a deceiver. And 28, and when Ham begot his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. 29, and Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old, he put on those garments. 30, and Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and God gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before the Lord. Period. Now see, after that, would you turn on God when he's doing all this for you? Strengthening you like this? But he did. He fell right into the trap of the fallen angels, folks. Anyway, on we go. 31, and Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, And he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about. And the Lord delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands. And God prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon earth. 33. Therefore it became current in those days, when a man ushered forth those that he had trained up for battle, he would say to them, like God did to Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter in the earth, and who succeeded in the battles that prevailed against his brethren, that he delivered them from the hands of their enemies. So may God strengthen us and deliver us this day. In 34, and when Nimrod was 40 years old, at that time there was a war between his brethren and the children of Japheth, so that they were in the power of their enemies. 35, and Nimrod went forth at that time, and he assembled all the sons of Cush and their families, about 460 men, and he hired also from some of his friends and acquaintances about 80 men, and he gave them their hire, and he went with them to battle. And when he was on the road, Nimrod strengthened the hearts of the people that went with him. And how about these associates and friends? I bet those are some interesting characters. How about you, folks? 36. And he said to them, do not fear, neither be alarmed, for all our enemies will be delivered into our hands, and you may do with them as you please. 37. And all the men that went were about 500, and they fought against their enemies, and they destroyed them and subdued them. And Nimrod placed standing officers over them in their respective places. 38. And he took some of their children as security. So how about that? They're kidnapping the kids. How about that? So in 38, he took some of their children as security, and they were all servants to Nimrod and to his brethren. And Nimrod and all the people that were with him turned homeward. 39. And when Nimrod had joyfully returned from battle, after having conquered his enemies, all his brethren, together with those who knew him before, folks, assembled to make him king over them. And they placed the regal crown upon his head. 40. And he set over his subjects, people, princes, judges, rulers, as is the custom amongst kings. 41. And he placed Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of his host, And he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes. So Abraham's dad had what a great position here within this pagan empire here. 42, and whilst he was reigning according to his heart's desire, after having conquered all his enemies around, he advised with his counselors to build a city for his palace. And they did so. Period. 43, and they found a large valley opposite to the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of the city that he built Shinar, for the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them. And that term Shinar, now remember that's used throughout the Old Testament if someone doesn't know that. Notice the valley there, folks. And you'll notice when we get to Sodom and Gomorrah what they did in their valley. And not only that, but the pagan empires around the firmament of the earth. They used high places, and they also used the cliff of the rock of the valley. Okay, and there the shrine was placed. All right, I'll stay focused. But the valley, keep that in mind. 44, and Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, and he reigned securely. And he fought with his enemies, and he subdued them. And he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. 45, and all nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him, and they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their Lord and King. And they all dwelt with him in the city of Shinar, and Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. 46, and all the earth was of one tongue, and words of union. But Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, and he was more wicked than all the men that were before him, from the days of the flood until those days. Okay, folks, this guy, he started dabbling in the occult. He started dabbling with the fallen angels. Okay, here they call him Mardon. It's Marduk, and he's described in stone in the archaeology as a giant. I mean a giant. All right, but let's look at the occultism that started just emanating out of Babylon here. Listen. And he, that's Nimrod, made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them, and he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon, his son, was more wicked than his father. So this wickedness kept, through Lucifer, growing and growing. In 48, and everyone that heard of the acts of Mardon, the son of Nimrod, would say concerning him, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. You guys remember that from the Bible, that statement. Therefore it became a proverb in the earth, the whole earth, saying, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. And it was current in the words of men from that time to this. 49. And Terah, the son of Nahor, prince of Nimrod's host, was in those days very great in the sight of the king and his subjects. And the king and princes loved him, and they elevated him very high. In 50. And Terah took a wife, and her name was Amithelo, the daughter of Corn Ebo. And the wife of Terah conceived and bare him a son in those days. 51. Terah was 70 years old when he begot him. And Terah called the name of his son that was born to him Abram, because the king had raised him in those days and dignified him above all his princes that were with him. Now, folks, from this forward, it is going to really get interesting here. There are some details here. It all harmonizes with the King James. And this chapter 8, these wise men are going to go to town here, folks, and the occult is going to be exposed. Hold on to your boots here. Hold on to your chair. Strap yourself in when we get to chapter 8. Because the occult is going to be exposed here. Big time. And Abraham had this, the Spirit of God in him. And he hated this religion. And we're going to see all that here. It is very fascinating. So I'm going to load this up here for you guys so you can keep going here. I'm going to let everybody kind of catch up here on the pod. And then we're going to go to town in this chapter 8, folks. We just are. This is going to get very fascinating. So we hope to see you there. Bye-bye.